Namaskar. Hello, friends. Today is 23rd January, a very special day in the history of our nation. 125 years ago this day, Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose was born. Now, all of us know that the British ultimately quit India on the 15th of August 1947, and one of the greatest contributions to our ultimate liberation came from Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose and the Azad Hind Fauj led by him. However, to the great consternation of many of us, very little is known about the actual life and times of one of the greatest leaders our nation has ever seen, even less about the incredible battles fought by the intrepid and fiercely passionate soldiers of the Azad Hind Fauj. Today being Netaji Jayanti, from Team SWN, we bring before you some information on the Azad Hind Fauj. And finally, we wrap up this first episode with some information on the memorable but relatively little known Battle of Moirang. Now, first, some quick facts about the Azad Hind Fauj. At the Tokyo Conference of 1942, which resulted in the establishment of the Indian Independence League, Biplabi Shri Rashbihari Bose also moved a motion to raise an army for Indian independence. Now, this army, the Indian National Army, or the Azad Hind Fauj as it was also known, was set up in 1942 under the leadership of Captain Mohan Singh. It comprised of prisoners of war captured by the Japanese and held in Southeast Asia. Now, unfortunately, by the end of 1942, this INA was disbanded owing to differences between the INA leadership and the Japanese leadership. You see, many Indians were getting apprehensive of the Japanese and their true motives. They weren't very sure what they really planned to do. It looked to many of them that the Japanese were beginning to intrude too much into the affairs of the INA. Now, at this stage, many people, including Rashbihari Bose and Mohan Singh, felt that Netaji would be the right person to lead the INA if it were revived, and accordingly he was invited to take charge of the INA and rejuvenate it. Upon his arrival in Southeast Asia, Netaji duly took charge in July 1943. His presence galvanized the Indian diaspora like never before, and many thousands joined as volunteers, and many more donated as much money and jewelry and other assets as they could. In October 1943, in Singapore, Netaji declared the establishment of the Provisional Government of Free India, or the Arsi Hukumat-e-Azad Hind as it was known in Hindustani, Azad Hind in short. He himself was the head of state, prime minister, and minister for war and foreign affairs. Mind you, Azad Hind government was recognized as a legitimate state by as many as 10 independent countries of the time, which included not only the Axis powers of Germany, Japan, and Italy, but also countries like Croatia, Thailand, Burma, Philippines, Manchuria, Nanking, and the Irish Free State, as Ireland was then known. Azad Hind had its own bank, its own currency, and its own postage stamps. Currency notes bore the signature of Netaji himself. The government was established on sound principles of governance and was solvent to thanks in no small measure to the extremely generous donations from the Indian diaspora. Now, on to Moirang. So, Moirang was a small town around 27 kilometers south of Impal. Many military historians refer to this Battle of Moirang as one of the fiercest battles ever fought. When it concluded, the Azad Hind Fauj emerged victorious, and Colonel Shaukat Malik hoisted the tricolour on the 14th of April 1944. This was the first victory of the Azad Hind Fauj against the British Indian Army in India. The people of Moirang, it may be noted, had proactively guided the INA soldiers, helping them to lay siege to the British Indian Army. Sri Moirambang Koireng Singh, who was to later become the first Chief Minister of Manipur, was actually one among those who had provided their generous hospitality to the INA soldiers. Moirang remained under the control of the INA government for close to 4 months, and till date, the 14th of April is celebrated as Moirang Day or as Victory Day. Thank you so much for your patience and time and your kind attention. In coming episodes, we shall bring you more information about Netaji, and not just him, about many other leaders of our long and glorious history who we feel perhaps have not received their due attention nor their rightful place in history. Thank you very much once again. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.